Chapter 15. Early in the morning, the chief priests with the elders and the teachers of the law and the whole Sanhedrin made their plans. So they bound Jesus, led him away, and lowered to Pilate. "Are you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. "You have said so," Jesus replied. And the chief priests accused him of many things. So again, Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things they are accusing you of?" But Jesus still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. Now it was a custom of the festival to release a prisoner from the people. Request a man called Barabbas was in prison with the insurrectionists who had committed murder and uprising. The crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. "Do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. Knowing it was out of self-interest that the chief priest handed Jesus over to him. While the chief priest stood up the crowd to have Pilate release Barabbas instead. "What shall I do then with the one who called the king of the Jews?" Pilate asked him. "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate, but they shouted all the more louder. "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is the Praetorium, and called together the whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe on him, and they twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on him. They began to call out to him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" again and again. They stuck him out ahead with a staff and spit on him. Falling on their knees, they paid no homage to him, and they mocked him. They too got off the purple robe and put his own coat on him. They laid him out to crucify him. A certain man named from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing about his way in the country, and they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, and they offered sour wine to him mixed with water. They did not take it, and they crucified him, dividing up his clothes, and they cast lots to see what each could get. It was 9 in the morning when they crucified him. The written was the charge against him read, "King of the Jews." They crucified 2 of those with him, one on his left and one on his right. All those who passed by heard what's up to them, shaking their head and saying, "So, you who are going to destroy the temple and build in 3 days, to come down from the cross and save yourself." The same way the chief priests and the teachers of the law mocked him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he cannot save himself. Let the Messiah, this King of Israel, come down from the cross, that we may see and believe." Those crucified with him also hid themselves on him. And new darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And at 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Then some of those standing near said, heard this, said, "Listen, he's calling Elijah." Someone ran and a sponge with sour vinegar, put on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes down to take him down," he said. With the crowd, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn into two, top to bottom. A centurion stood there in front of Jesus, saw how he died. He said, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Some watching from a distance among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James the younger, and of Joseph and Salome in Galilee. These women had followed him and cared for his needs. Many other women were come out with them to Jerusalem also. There was preparation day, that is, the day before the Sabbath. So as evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, a member of the council, was with them all, waiting for the kingdom of God. When believed to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body, Pilate was surprised to hear that he was already dead. Summoning the centurion, he asked if Jesus had already died. When he learned from the centurion that he had already died, he gave the body to Joseph, so Joseph brought, and then called and took down the body and wrapped it in linen, and placed in the tomb, cut out the rock. Then he rolled the stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of Joseph, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where he was laid. Amen.